This is Lauren.
This is Trey.
And this
is the Partnership Podcast.
On this episode of the Partnership Podcast, we talk about sex and menstruation and our thoughts on it. And then we talk about some people think it's unclean or gross, and we do not. And we get into graphic detail of why we don't. Enjoy.
The amount of time I spend in these chairs. Good morning, babe.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Good.
We were just talking off camera about how you're feeling a little anxious, a little behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of get that way on like recording days anyway. Yeah, I kind of feel that way. Yeah.
Why so?
I guess it's organizing my day and then like doing this and like trying to be present, but then thinking like forward thinking about my day. Stuff like that, but like pretty standard. Par for the course.
Is there anything I can do to ease that?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Thank you for checking in before off camera, but like it's nothing for you to fix. And no, also like the feeling of behind is not real. So I can remind myself of that. And then, you know, if I'm feeling a little behind, a little anxious, it's like, why not have your fourth cup of fucking coffee too? It's a 2-pot day.
We joked right before we got on camera because I had been like, hey, checking in. And he was like, yeah, just feeling anxious, feeling behind. And I said, well, then let me pour you another cup of coffee.
Yeah, let me get a cigarette in too.
We fully acknowledge that this is not the smartest thing to do. But listen, we love coffee.
Oh yeah.
We
an
love
addict.
it. We don't usually do a 2-pot morning. It's not a norm. It's like a once or twice a week.
Yes and no, though, because our 2-pot morning, it won't be a 2-pot morning at the house. We'll go out and get it. If you know what I mean.
I love coffee.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Anyway. But I do, as I age, I'm like, it does affect me more and more. And so I am more and more careful too. It was funny. I got a cup on the way home from the gym yesterday and I sipped 3 sips of it. It's like my body will be like, really? You want to keep doing that?
And then we take elements, which has potassium and magnesium in it. And then if you take enough of those, that's going to help the bowels flow. So the combination of caffeine and magnesium in the morning, it will rock your bowels.
We talk about the important things here on the Partnership Podcast.
Yeah, poops and feelings.
It should be a kid's book.
Poops and Feelings?
Yeah.
That's a good name for a kid's book.
That's a good name. I think it would actually sell lots of copies.
Poops and Feelings.
Just kind of in the same line as Everybody Poops, but then like about emotional intelligence too. Yeah. How's our week been, baby? I'm trying to think back over this past week. Where have we been? What we doing? We haven't talked about period sex in a long time. We haven't talked about that in a while. What are some other things that we could talk about?
Let's talk about period sex. And let's talk about, like, I'm really into it now.
Yeah.
Like, I look forward to period sex.
Which is incredible. Okay, tell me this. Let's rewind. Was there ever a time in your life where menstruation was kind of gross or like, you didn't grow up around that type of stuff, did you?
No, and then in my 20s, like, when I had girlfriends, it just wasn't. It's never grossed me out.
Could you ever tell that they were embarrassed? Did you ever date somebody who was embarrassed or like?
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Well, like,
or
say
be
if
sleeping with someone who was embarrassed.
It's a little different. Say if you're like casually dating someone and you occasionally see each other and occasionally sleep together, it's probably a little different than like being in a committed girlfriend-boyfriend relationship or a marriage.
Yeah. And I will say as a person who's had casual sexual relationships, it is something that men don't have to consider or people with penises don't have to consider. Like, you know, I would go, I think I've told the infamous story here on the podcast, like to New York to hook up with someone and be menstruating. And that's a bummer.
Tell the story.
I've told it so many times.
Tell it one more time.
We were talking about it the other day, so I guess this is Trey's face if you're not watching. Trey, well, I don't even know what kind of smile he has right now. He has like I'm going to make my wife tell an embarrassing story smile, and this feels good. Okay, so, and because he knows that I actually kind of feel proud of it too. So the reason we were talking about this is companies send me products to try all the time. So Nixit, shout out, recently sent me their hybrid menstrual cup disc. I will link it below with my affiliate code if you want to try it too. And I'm all about the vagina. I'm all about the uterus and the menstruations and all of these things. I'm not afraid to stick things up in there, as we remember from the O-Nut story when one got lost in me. You can click here. So I've tried a variety of menstrual products. Nothing has ever worked as well for me as tampons. But there was a season in my life where I tried these Flex disposable menstrual discs that were supposed to do the exact same thing as this new thing I'm trying. So this is why Trey and I were talking about it. Because one of the claims of menstrual discs that sit up in the vaginal fornix at the base of the pelvis is that you can have, I put this in quotes because it's on all their marketing, mess-free period sex. That's what it's on all of their marketing. So I am headed to New York for work, for some friends. I don't even remember. I'm going to see one of my casual sex partners. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be menstruating. I'm like, oh, perfect time to try these mess-free period products. Oh my God, I'm just mortified. Okay. My mouth is dry. I'm like cotton mouth. So I get to New York. We're in the midst of a sexual encounter. It's good sex. What happens when there's good sex is the vagina tenses and balloons and elongates and does all this stuff. And then I just feel this moment. There's a particularly powerful thrust. There's a... and then I just feel gush. This is not fluid like female ejaculate. This is not semen. This is my period blood, which I love my period blood. But the part that always makes Trey giggle is that I just said nothing. I just did nothing, said nothing. Blood got everywhere. I could feel it all over myself. But I slept there for several hours and then went home.
And then you just left this guy just bloody sheets. You basically ruined his sheets. It's fantastic. Nice job, babe.
Thanks. So anyway, I have no shame, but I have been in the experience where it's exactly what you said. It's a casual sex partner and you're like, ugh. Like, right. If this was a long-term partner, it's fine. Like, it's really fine. And I am one of those people who can be hornier on my period because there's extra blood in the genitals. And I really encourage people who bleed to really do the work to see, like, are these old beliefs that you no longer are connected to that you're gross or dirty on your period? Because sex can be great.
Yeah.
But anyway, you've always been fine with it ever since we have started hooking up.
Yeah, since we started fooling around with each other. We occasionally fool around. We get together and
I don't know.
maybe go out for drinks
The
and then
casual
come
sex
back
is
and
nice with
fool
you.
around.
We've been hanging out some.
It's really good to see you.
So what we should do when we sit in these chairs, we should just pretend like...
Tomorrow I'm going to wake up and be like, do you want me to call you an Uber?
Oh my God. It'd be the best. I sometimes pretend, we've said this before, in the mornings, if we're having morning sex, I can usually get more in the mood more quickly if I imagine that I'm not going to see you again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not because I don't like you. That came out wrong. I really like you.
Yeah. If I die, like if I get really sick or something, or if I just die suspiciously, please investigate my wife.
But the reason we'll do that sometimes is because with a casual sex partner, the risks are just lower. But back to menstrual sex. You've always been a fan, or you've always been supportive. But recently, you have become a fan.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm loving this fandom.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about this. Where has this come from? Is it just over time? Is it... Talk about this. Are you lacking in iron?
I feel like I know my role better now than I ever have before, where my job is to be soft and be sensitive, especially like physically in certain areas, like around your breasts. My job is to be kind of like caring and affirming because Lauren sometimes after a lovely orgasm will just burst out into crying.
Especially right before I'm menstruating, the day I'm menstruating, or like when I'm menstruating.
Mm-hmm.
It is sobs.
Yeah, sobs, where at first it's like, holy shit, what's going on? Where now it's like, okay, this is part of the cycle. So I understand my role of like kind of protector, provider, lover much more now than I ever have before. And there are some times where you just get horny as fucking hell.
Who, me?
Yeah, who you? What's your name again? And then I'm just here to service. So I get to like go into my service worker kink. Yeah, like sex worker kind of fantasy service worker kink. Okay. We don't actually role play or nothing, but that's what's going on in,
well, we can
this
talk about the
mousetrap up
recent
here.
fantasy that I had.
What's your fantasy that you just had?
Well, wait.
This is the dirty
we'll get
cast.
to it. I know. We haven't had one of these in a long time.
Yo, strap in, every gentle audience. This is the dirty cast.
Sex educator moment here. It's very normal for people to have an emotional release post-orgasm, during orgasm. It's very good for us. Very, very good for us. And so many people feel embarrassed. And especially when everything is amplified due to the menstrual cycle, I encourage my body to release it. Yeah. And what's so fascinating is how quickly it passes. What goes through your mind, though? Because I had a huge cry. I was sobbing a little bit. It's over in 30 seconds, sure. 20 seconds? Yeah. What do you do? Because are you ever like, oh no, I'm going to get soft because now she's crying?
No.
Where do you go in your mind?
Oh, I just understand like what it is.
Okay.
It's like a beautiful release. Mm-hmm. And then it's my job to just hold you or like, light pressure, heavy pressure. Mm-hmm. And then you'll communicate with me. So I just understand that it's part of the deal.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's so lovely.
It has nothing to do with me.
It literally has nothing.
Yeah. I'm not making you cry after you come super hard.
No.
Which I'm not into.
No.
Yeah.
No. You are giving space for it. And you are protecting. It's like I'm in a little container. Mm-hmm. That pleasure allowed a pathway for grief sometimes, for overwhelm to be released, for fear, for whatever it is, panic, rage. And what I love about the menstrual cycle, which folks can go watch a Sex Ed for You podcast all about this, but is that it is my chance to edit my story kind of once a month. And so usually by the time that we're in passionate lovemaking, I have done my journaling practices of what do I need to release. That morning specifically, I had gotten up at 7 a.m. and gotten in the bathtub. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
And I do this whole release practice. What is my body holding on to? What relationships no longer serve me? What dreams and ambitions do I need to release? Where do I want to redirect my path? I do a deep cleanse. And so by the time I came and crawled in bed with you and was like, wanna fuck? I had released. So you, in essence, it's almost like, I don't know, you like put me in this beautiful cave of safety to just sob, and it was amazing.
Babe, same question to you. Has there ever been a time where you've been on your period and not wanted to have sex for the kind of the feeling of like, ooh, this is gross, or I'm going to gross somebody out? Has it ever been like a no or a boundary to you ever?
No.
Okay. What about clients? What about clients that are like,
Nope. And you know what I get it from more is men who think it's gross.
Okay.
Which I'm glad we're doing this because, there are, I definitely have all genders and, but I think by and large, it's now I will say to my female-bodied clients, my hetero women who are married to a man, when they tell me these things, when's the last time you asked him about this? Because a lot of times what we do in long-term partnership, you and I talk about this all the time, is we think we know, right? We presume to know. Yeah. He might have said that when you were dating and you've been married 12 years now, might be time for a check-in. And when I say, when's the last time you really talked about this? They're like, oh, well, I haven't. And I'm like, okay. Let's work on some tools to discuss this, because sitting there thinking that your husband finds you repulsive during the 5 to 7 to 8 days you bleed is a really tragic thing, especially if he's not thinking that.
What about the guys that just aren't into it?
You know, I encourage everybody to do a different amount of work. I'm never, ever here to push someone past their point of, like, to traumatize someone. I am not. And yet people who bleed are half of our population. Our literally species exists because of a menstrual cycle and what happens. And so what I find in my work as a sexuality educator is that if we can find the origin of the belief, the male-bodied person that I'm talking to can release that feeling of, ooh, gross. That's very adolescent. That is a very adolescent response. Ew, gross. It's not a very nuanced adult response. When a adult man who loves his partner can find the origin of that, usually based in some type of cleanliness is close to godliness type of verbiage. And when we can unpack that he doesn't any longer align with some of those other things, they can be like, oh yeah, this is odd. Right? When we can talk about, okay, so just basics. Do you have towels on your bedside table? How far away are you from the shower? Can you have some wipes on your bedside table? Could it be just as much of a ritual to wipe one another off? This is the layer. These are these things. Get a red towel. Make it this fun, like exciting time for you. When we can look at it with fresh eyes and we haven't just cast it out as this disgusting thing, what I have an opportunity to help hetero men understands is exactly what you said. Oh, buddy, now you are showing your beautiful partner how much more space she can expand into. Because you're saying, babe, you're never disgusting to me. Be all of you. Because I celebrate that. And in fact, you've told me before, babe, I want an editing process. I want a chance once a month to sit down with my life and be like, what's no longer serving me? What do I like? What habits served me? What doesn't? When we can do that to the female race, to the people who menstruate, my God, watch out. You're going to get laid more. Your relationship is going to better because you're seeing her as all of her. That is really damn sexy. And the way you don't just make love to me the same way when I'm menstruating. You do. This is why I really wanted to talk about this. You ask more questions. If you go to massage my left boob and it is more tender, you respond so immediately when I say, couldn't you do this instead? And yeah, you just right away, the new thing you've started doing is if I say I started bleeding or I'm menstruating, you go, I'm ovulating.
Correct.
And it's basically his code for saying, I am even more turned on by you right now. I want you. I desire this version of you. And for many people around the world, there's still just such a shameful stigma around the time of the month that we bleed. Think of all the terms there are. Oh, she's just on the rag. Or, oh, it just must be that time of the month. Or Shark Week. Or so many derogatory terms that I don't want to, but I cannot stop my bleeding, right? So that's just, it's unkind. So you heal my body a little bit to say, oh, that thing that happens to you for me every 24 days, yeah, it makes me want you more.
That's really sweet. Yeah, and you will get can I speak to the fellas for a second?
Yes.
Guys, if you think period sex is gross, I mean, you're leaving a lot of really good sex on the table. And what my wife just said about all that stuff, saying affirming things to your lady, it's going to get her horny as hell. Mm-hmm. Let's get back to this one. Also, before we move on, can we acknowledge the term Shark Week is very funny also?
For who?
What'd you say?
For whom?
Let's get back to this
term funny? You've taught me. Oh, nuanced comedian.
Shark Week's funny as hell. Ooh, Shark Week? Not in a bad way, just observational.
But it's not. It is funny for you because you have an egalitarian view of women and you value women. Mm-hmm. Assholes are saying that who do not value women like you. And so they can be a part of this club that says things like Shark Week. And they don't spend the rest of their days doing what you just said, like valuing. I don't care if you say these things because it is not a mark of your character. But for someone to say Shark Week and then also view a woman as dirty who is menstruating, yeah, those motherfuckers can shut up. It is not funny across the board. It is funny when you say it because you value me. And I wish all men were like you, but they are not. They are the same men who said these things at the bar, right? Like, I'm every feminist nightmare, that guy in his phone, and what they call rape, I call something else. And we're going to go show men how to pick up girls in Berlin. Those types of people say things like Shark Week too.
Okay.
And so I hear you that the term is funny, but in my body, it brings up, my brothers would say it. My brothers don't devalue women, but I was second.
Okay.
Yeah. I hear you. But I think it's something that must be discussed. And I am trying to get better at not dismissing my feelings, right? So that was me trying to say, I love you. Your phrases, your phraseology doesn't even affect me because I know who you are at your core.
Okay.
But I hear that term thrown around by men who have not shown me that, yeah, they are trustworthy in any other way.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for acknowledging that I'm allowed to say it.
And just observe, oh, male-bodied audience, who else is saying it? Because are they the type of men who value women? And if so, interesting. Okay. And if not, maybe think of your friends, sisters, wives, daughters who hear terms like this all the time, who guys just get away with saying these things. So anyway, what it implies is it's like a bloody, gnarly, out to get you type of week. That's what I hear in my body.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. We digress. How does it feel? Like, does my response surprise you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me say it. I was telling people last night that it's always so neat to watch me on tape because old Lauren would have let that just sink because I know you don't mean it harshly. Lauren, whatever version this is, 4.6 is like, no, like I don't like it when the average guy says it. And I want to be better. I'm just saying that because I think you always say to me, babe, there's space. You can disagree. And old Lauren would have wanted to just breeze past that one to make you happy. So thank you. Yeah, thank you for letting me talk about that. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So this past time we had sex, was it Sunday? So I got in my head this fantasy of almost, it was funny that you said the service provider thing because I kind of got in my fantasy this idea that I was this like queen, wise woman in some community wherein when I would menstruate, they would bring in this hot man to service me. And do you remember this now?
Yeah.
Okay. And because Trey will often say like, we'll change positions. We'll do all this types of stuff in our lovemaking. We are quite communicative. But what is also interesting with the menstruating body is like ligaments are looser, like everything feels a little different. And so we were in some position and all I could think about is the tightness in like the left side of my body and how nice it would feel to have, this is very graphic, everyone, Trey's cock like massage the inside of my pelvic bowl. And I was like, well, ask for it. So then, because he loves this, but it can be hard sometimes to say like, baby, can I get on all fours and can you do? Why?
It's a rough life. Yeah.
I don't know why it's so hard to say. I do because I help everybody say it. Yeah, but I just found myself really feeling into it, especially after my bath, where I was really like just in tune to my body, hadn't taken a phone in, had just taken my notebook, and yeah, asked for it and really wanted to work on just kind of releasing my hips. So I did like lots of figure eights and rocking and cat and cows. Do you remember all of this?
Yes.
How did this feel?
It was hot as hell.
Why?
We set the mirror up so we could
Yeah.
watch, or like we were doing side. Yeah, it was just hot as hell.
Did you feel used at all?
That's one of my favorite things to feel. Yeah, it's one of my very favorite things to feel, where it's like, I am here for a very specific purpose. Yeah, it's one of the most exciting things that goes on in my dirty mind.
I think it's so important that we talk about this, because I think this idea that we have that our partners just want to take from us is because we're not communicating what we actually want. Right? I could have laid there. Sunday morning is our typical like slow morning in bed, good sex. Sometimes we Zillow, sometimes we always have coffee. But I could have just laid there and thought, this is not what I want. Oh, this is not what I want.
We've had sex like that before. Yeah, where it's like you didn't speak for yourself, and then we're in these chairs going, honey, can you communicate what you want?
Exactly.
Yeah, where it's like pissy Lauren, and that is not what happened that Sunday.
No.
You literally, there was a position where you didn't feel comfortable. You go, can we move out of this? Can we do this? Can we do this? Can you hold still? It was fabulous. Loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorite things in the world sexually is to be taken from. Not to be taken advantage,
No,
not
but
to be
to
like...
consentingly allow.
Correct.
Yeah.
I don't want to be hurt. I don't want to be slapped. I don't want to feel pain, anything like that. That's not sexy to me, to receive that. But to be taken from, like in a consensual way, it's my favorite thing in the world.
Which I want the audience to hear. Trey just said that, and I still had a hard time on Sunday, right? Like, and so I think it's why these conversations forever are so important, because people need to see. I spend all day, every day talking about this. I all day, every day hear you tell me affirming things like that. And yet still, it was this like, you can do it.
Yeah, one of my fantasies that I'm having right now that I want to make like an opportunity to actually do this with you is where I focus on just taking from you, which is hard for me in my mind. Where it's like, oh, this is all, because I go to like, you're being selfish and she's not having a good time.
Same. I mean, it's
like,
exactly what I said.
Yeah.
I was like, you're being selfish while you figure eight your hips right now.
Yeah. And it's yeah, like it's a memory burned into that when you were doing that, it's burned into I want more of that. So I want to set up an opportunity for sex where I just focus on what I want. And also if it's like to pleasure you, great. And then it's when to stop. And then what I want to do, but it's curated for me, and I'll see where it goes. And then we'll talk about it beforehand, and you can say yes, you can say no.
Exactly,
too.
right? It is important. Betty Martin always says, the choosing is more important than the doing. What was most important that morning, my Sunday morning, was that I chose, that I thought, that I like reflected, and then I chose. And you get agency to choose whether or not you want to do to me, like allow it to be done to you.
Yeah.
That we could have negotiated about that. And for instance, because I could feel that in my pelvic floor and I really wanted to like move my hips around like that. If you had been like, you know, babe, my quads are tired because I hiked yesterday. We could have said, could we get into a position where you can do that, but maybe I'm just stroking you, or I'm laying beside you, or you're over my mouth, or I mean, we could have continued to negotiate it. But for you not to know what I wanted is robbing you of agency. And yeah, you get to decide, yes. And then when there is so much consent and you're allowing me to use your body like that, what you were experiencing, I would argue, was the feeling of being desired, like the feeling of me taking. I was getting just what I desired, and you were the vessel of it.
Very well put.
Who doesn't want to be desired?
It's one of my core erotic themes.
I think through all of the conversations that we're having in the world about consent, what we have done is made people a little bit of taking awkward, right? Because we're like, well, I don't want to be non-consensual. Good. Great starting point. I'm glad we're doing that.
Yeah.
But now we've gotten all a little awkward because we don't have the tools. Hey, work with a sexuality educator. And what we can do when we start to practice that is find our way back to being desired again. I want you to feel like that I am so ravenous. I want to take from you. I want to feel like that. When you were saying these things, like you just want to take for your pleasure, I'm like, sign me up.
Yeah.
Please, can I be the one he takes from? I want to be that person. That sounds so hot. Doesn't it, what are you thinking?
No, I'm just flashing. No, I'm not sharing any of the shit that I'm thinking in my mind right now. Fuck.
It is so funny. Once we can, I had a massage on Monday, and our incredible massage therapist, shout out, I don't know if you're a listener, does this unwinding thing with a leg or an arm or stuff, and she was trained in this. I don't know what this is called, but literally she just holds my leg, and then she sees where it goes as it's unwinding the tendons. I think what we have done and worked and continue to do is unwind, right, these old scripts that were put in place by different influences in our lives. And we are starting to find scripts that are just us. So we can find our way back to like the most primal, beautiful, intuitive place of desire and bodies and coexistence and partnership. And it's so fucking fun. Because, yeah, bodies menstruate.
Yeah.
They do. Okay, talk to me about blood. Does blood, because there's blood present
Sure.
when a person is menstruating, does this gross you out? How do we overcome the blood barrier? What do we do?
I'm so glad you asked this. I don't like blood. I have zero issue with menstrual bleeding, and the difference is when I see blood, it's from trauma, some type of injury where someone's in a lot of pain, and then menstrual blood is not that. I mean, yes, ovaries are moving around and stuff, but like this is natural. This is part of a cycle, so it's just not an issue to me. Excuse me. But I don't like seeing blood. I don't like seeing my own blood drawn. Like a lot of blood is like, oh, people are in danger, but it's just not. It's not the case when it comes to.
Menstrual blood in general, can have a smell, can have a scent.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
Roll of pennies.
Yeah?
Copper.
It's absolutely.
Yeah.
It is mineral. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It is truly like, it smells earthy to me.
Yeah.
It can have a taste.
Mm-hmm.
Is that off-putting? Is that, there can be the presence of it, right?
I'll
like
say
it can be
this, brutal honesty, and I've been hesitant to say this. It's kind of fucking hot to get just a small taste. Mm-hmm. Like, do I feel like I'm in Interview with a Vampire a little bit? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm Brad Pittin.
Can I do what you do?
What?
Can I talk to the ladies?
Yeah, go ahead.
Ladies, if you identify like that. I just tried to do it, Trey, and it's not my verbiage. But I'm here to tell you that we get in our own way. And I've never had someone say something like, I can't wait to taste you when you're bleeding, and talk about a healing thing. Talk about this incredible way that I can love my body even more deeply. Oh, someone not only wants to sleep with me, which can feel like that archaic old script of taking, but wants to taste me. This is something that is coming from inside me. And not only does he not mind it, he thinks I'm delicious, more delicious. Let it heal you. Coming back. It's been the most amazing thing.
Good.
Like, seriously.
It's so fun.
Because in my field, we talk about this term desirability. Mm-hmm. And that we get in our own ways when we can't see ourselves as desirable. We don't initiate sexual encounters. We resist sexual encounters when we don't feel that we are desirable, anybody in any body. And so to heal my relationship with, oh, but no, like that type of stuff is just so good. So good. How do we handle mess, bloody sheets, all this type of stuff? What are some things that we do?
Oh, we hit the layer. Yeah, the layer is like it's padded where it's like fabric on one side and then it's like waterproof material on the other side, and it's a giant circle. It's not a square, it's a circle. Mm-hmm. So that's our go-to thing. And are they sponsors of the podcast?
I think we have a link.
We got a link. We'll put up a link below. Mm-hmm. Buy a layer, you fucks. And
so lovely. It's black, so it shows nothing. I'm sure it's so stained. Yeah.
Yeah, but whatever. And then you throw it in the washing machine. You just don't dry it. Not a big deal. And then we have little hand towels, and then we'll jump in the shower. And that's that. It's not a big deal.
No.
It's not a big deal.
We've gotten to the point that it's almost like It's like finger paint. Like not. We don't finger paint with my menstrual blood. Do you guys remember though those when you're a kid and you would do, what do they call those? You
Yeah,
would
the
put
smocks. You got the smock on?
no,
Put
no,
the smock
yes,
on?
yes. But when you would put paint on one side of a paper, and then you would fold the paper, and you would squish it together, and then you'd open it up, and you would have
That's
like a
what it
butterfly.
looks like, yeah.
That is what we look like.
It's like a blotch or Rorschach test or whatever that
Yes,
thing's called.
what do you call those?
Blotch painting or whatever it is.
There's a term.
There's a term.
That's what I was trying to
Someone's
say.
yelling
Not,
it as they listen to
not
this.
finger painting, but that's what it's like, because it's like two bodies have been smushed together. And so then, and it's just almost, it is beautiful. It is beautiful. Can we just call it what it is? There is this beauty to it, and all you have to do is step in the shower to rinse it off.
Yeah.
Like this is not, it's not stuck on you.
I don't see it as a mess. Do you see it as a mess?
Not at all.
Yeah, no, I don't see it as a mess.
Not at all. And there's added lubrication. I will say, I think some people think that it's going to be like constant lubrication. No, we'll still use lube because it's not like some ever flowing faucet.
Nope.
No, but we use the layer and hand towels and showers and baths and it's.
Then we move on with our day.
Yeah. It's lovely. It really is. But I don't know. We'll have clients come sit in my office and they're like, yeah, well, I mean, I haven't had sex for a week because, I'm menstruating.
Yeah, get after it.
And I'm like,
lovely clients, get after it.
you don't need to do that.
Yeah.
If you want to, if your body is asking for, and Trey knows this, sometimes there have been cycles where I need some space and I will take that space.
Yeah, I have a lovely masturbatory practice.
Yeah. Huh? Yeah. Last month, even, I think I was in a space. I had some hard decisions I was making. It was conversations I needed to have with Holland. Yeah.
What happened before we made Sweet Love this morning? I did a
check-in.
Yeah, I did a check-in. Remember our check-in?
I love how it's like a leading question. What did I do this morning?
I'm trying to remind you. I'm trying to keep the podcast moving for the people. Okay.
What are you talking
I'm trying
about?
to respect the audience's time. No, I just did a check-in before we.
Yeah, we will. Trey will often say, I will give the credit where the credit's due. He will often say, because we all know on this podcast that Trey loves morning sex. It's his tingle time. And it is not often my morning. I would prefer, in an ideal world, I would get up, get out of bed, do my journaling practice, my morning pages is what I call it, and then kind of attack my day. And I would have passionate sex in the evening times after I have done all the things that I love, and then I would share like that joy would overflow onto my partner.
And then I'm gonna be asleep. Yeah. I will be asleep.
Not always.
Not always.
The other night I came home and I was like, "You want to hear what I journaled about at the bar?"
True.
And you were like, "Yes, tell me." Yeah, that we made passionate loves. But there is so much truth into Trey's morning tingle time because, listen, when you start your day off with pleasure, it's just a nice day. So if I have space in my day, I will often reflect on, would it be good for me to start a day with this? And is there a way where I could put my morning pages in a different time? Or is it, what is most important? What do I value right now? And what do I need? What do I need, want, and desire? And so... yeah, this morning we had a slightly later start to podcasting. We knew that. And so I went with it. But you'll always give me the option. You'll say, are you in the mood for this? Or would you like to just mindfully masturbate together?
Or, hey, am I keeping you, like, do you want to journal? Do you need to knock stuff out?
Yeah.
Do we need to start early? Stuff like that. So I did preference that because it's not fun. Like, it's not exciting to me to kind of, I don't want you to ever take one for the team.
No.
So
I'm so glad to hear you say that because I want people to hear that. It's because that's probably one of the number one things I get. Yeah, my husband hates it when I'm like, no, babe, this is for you. Like, whatever. Like, yeah, because it's like miserable.
And like, we'll come too, but it's just not going to be, yeah.
No, and then what it's doing is it's a form of enduring.
Yeah, like tolerance. Like, fuck.
Yeah, nobody really wants that.
It takes the desire out of it. Yeah, where the other person doesn't feel desired, they feel like accommodated for or something.
Betty Dodson says the first principle of pleasure is the freedom of personal choice. Mm-hmm. And so...
I'd rather you choose to be like, nah, let's wait. And I'll be like, great. Yeah. Yeah, it's not an insult. It's not a slap in the face to me where it's like, great, yeah, we can wait. Yes. I would love to.
Yes, and
Yeah.
he means it. I think it's one thing if you can tell that somebody's butt hurt and like, but Trey really means it. And there are many times where I give him a kiss and I know there will be a morning masturbatory practice and I go downstairs and I get cuddled up and I'm doing my morning pages and he comes down and he kisses me on the head and I say, what did you fantasize about? Like, tell me what you came to. And it is the experience continues. It is still celebrated, but I am honored.
Yeah,
And
what's
then
the pursuer chaser? What's it called?
distancer pursuer?
Yeah. Yeah, it's still going on. The dance is still going on.
The dance is still
It's great.
there. We are there at connection and autonomy. And it is fun. It is beautiful. I have to stand in. Nope. He wants me to stand in my own choices. And I want him to have as many orgasms as he wants to have. And I am not responsible for all of them. And he wants me to want him. He wants me to want sexual encounters. And there are times when I want to get into that sexy mind space. There are times when I'm already there. And there are times when I want to go do my morning pages.
Correct.
And all of the above are good.
And the same thing works for me at night, where it's like there are times where I don't have the resiliency or the capacity to make powerful love to my wife. And then there are other times where it's like, you're going to need to fuck this woman.
Do you remember, we haven't talked about this, the other night, like a month ago, I was reading one of my books and you woke up and I was kind of just like shifting in the bed.
Yeah.
So sometimes he'll... Yeah, that was just funny.
Sometimes,
I don't think that's ever happened before.
I mean, that's to speak like what a high level of like desire and lust I have for you, where I could tell that you are turned on and you're in need of some physical attention. And then it's like, holy shit, devour this woman right now. I think I literally like woke up out of a sleep. It was like a light.
You were asleep.
Where I was like, it was just, but I had gone to bed in like 30 minutes where I wasn't a deep version of like REM sleep or anything, where I kind of popped up because I could feel some type of rustling. And then we had like intense sex.
Intense wild sex.
Yeah. And then I went right back to bed.
You did. It was the funny, and I think I went back to reading my book.
That is also, it's again, one of my deep, deep kinks. Of being, it's being desired and then being like a valuable service provider. So we both got what we wanted. Couple of nuts.
What's really interesting though, right, is that my pleasure, my job, your pleasure, your job, right? Like in its own container, like if we looked at the nested model of attachment, right? Self first. I wasn't elbowing you or over there crying because I wasn't being fucked.
Ew. No.
I was reading my book, getting very turned on by whatever I was reading, and was 100% okay with a masturbatory practice. Was not even, like you were sleeping.
And also, I was in my agency where if I had been in a deeper version of sleep, or if I had just been too tired, or if I was not up for it, she's fine. I'm not offending Lauren.
You came up the other morning, and I remember, I have been a horny lady, apparently.
Yeah.
You remember when you came up the other morning? Monday morning?
What happened Monday?
I had my vibrator, and you were like, can I help?
Oh, fuck. Jesus Christ.
Totally.
I was busy, too.
I know you were.
I was busy where this is intimate. Let's get into the intimate talk. Where I come up to, because I have to actually get out the door.
Did you come to bring me coffee? Because you were going
I came
somewhere?
to bring you coffee and then grab like a polo shirt or something.
And it was my day off, I really think, and that's why I was still in bed.
Literally, I had no intention of having sex with you, and technically we didn't. Basically, where you were enjoying your healthy masturbatory practice, and then I asked, can I contribute to this? And then it's just a lot of kisses. I know because we didn't have penetrative sex. I didn't stimulate your vulva in any way, but like I know the certain things to like kiss or touch, and it was so fucking hot. And it was such a like badge of honor that I got to contribute or add to your pleasure. And then I was out of there.
It's gone.
Like I didn't orgasm myself.
No,
I was like, I gotta go. Yeah, the wild needs me. I'm needed somewhere else. I have to go. I guess I have like a fucking Batman kink or something. I have to go fight justice.
Just thought it was so cool because in so many partnerships, there would be a little element of shame if someone walked in and found their partner masturbating.
I still am like, is this okay? Mm-hmm. Like, oh boy, where it's like there is something like the default is hide.
I came home yesterday.
Yeah.
I didn't think Trey was going to be home. I thought he was going from one thing to another, and I came home from the gym. And I can usually tell his voice. And so he was in the house. And I was said something about how I needed a shower, and then he was saying he needed a shower. And I was thinking, yeah, but I have like podcasts. I don't know. But I could tell his communication was just kind of stunted. And I was like, something's off. And then I just hear, and I'm mindfully masturbating.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
It's just cute. I loved it.
I was in the basement of lust.
We all know his basement.
Yep.
But how beautiful is that the day before, I just, you could have said, could I contribute? And I could have been like, no, this is just for me.
Yeah. And I would have given you a kiss on the lips.
100%.
Probably looked, would have admired your body and then left.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But this was for me, and many people know that your masturbatory practice is, I will work with female body clients on this forever, like with socks and sweatpants on. You are not being observed. So this is not performative. It's for you. Right? Yeah. And so I was not trying to lay in the bed and look sexy.
No, you're enjoying your day off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I thought before I get out for my day off, some pleasure would be really good. Getting in a mindset like this would be really good. I was still menstruating, and it's really good for a reset of the hormones. It is really good to help the uterus contract to aid menstrual blood. So I forgot though that happened, and the whole thing was hot. But I wonder if some of this comes from the Sunday where I chose, right? Where I said, this is what I would like. The choosing is more important than the doing.
We get to have really hot sex when we're connected to each other and we're supporting each other and we're communicating in a healthy manner with each other. And so that is the space that we need for really hot sex. That's the recipe.
Yeah. And I think the communication is so vital. And it is not just asking, where do you want to go for dinner? It is really taking the time to tune into self of what are we really needing. And that's why you and I ask the how can I support you question all the time.
All the time.
Because it gives each other the moment to take a sacred pause. You're doing it. Sometimes that's what you'll say to me all the time. You're doing it. Have a great day. Sometimes we'll say, could you, I don't know, let me know who's picking up the baby at this time. Could you take the trash out? Could you do this, that, or that?
I got to put the trash on the curb. Thanks for coming to this episode of this
We'll wrap
podcast.
Up right here.
If you know anybody that wants to speak to a sexuality educator, make sure and go to sexedforyou.com. / consultation.
Free consult.
/ free consult.
Honey, this is episode 81, and you don't know what the website is?
All right, you go.
No, go to sexedforyou.com / free consult. Remember, these are our opinions and only that. You have a right to informed decision making. Feel free to disagree with us. Feel free to yell at your screen when we can't remember what that block painting thing is called.
Rorschach test.
I know what that's called, but what was it called when you were a kid and you would do like a butterfly print or a heart?
I don't know.
Shadow?
Dumb kid shit?
No. Anyway, have a great rest of your day.
Shit the parents throw away eventually.
After menstruation
Where's my painting, Mom?
Comes the follicular phase, which is where I go into my ovulatory phase.
I'm going to get some follicular in a second. You know what I'm saying? After I put the trash on the curb.
Lick and done. Bye, everybody. We'll see you next time.